Halo the Master Chief Collection is the story of Master Chief and his AI companion Cortana, spanning across 4 excellent games, remade and remastered for the Xbox One, all running at 1080p and 60 frames per second. Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary released back in 2011. It was a complete remaster of Halo CE and it was stunning to say the least. Now on Xbox One it looks even better at 1080p. 60 frames per second also makes a big difference here as well. It seems a bit easier to pull off headshots and animations look all better now than they did 3 years ago. Halo CE is the first chapter in the MCC. To Halo fans it may still be fresh in their minds after it was only released and remade for the Xbox 360 very recently, but for newcomers of the series this is a great start to a great adventure. You are the Master Chief, one of the last remaining Spartan super soldiers. Your ship, the Pillar of Autumn, has arrived at an alien-built ring world known as Halo. Your ship is attacked and you escape to the ring. While fighting the alien alliance known as the Covenant, you begin to explore Halo, its purpose and its meaning. It's here that you will find a dark secret, the Flood, a parasite that consumes sentient life and turns into freakish monsters. If you've never played the games before, this plot twist comes as a real shock to the player. However, the first Halo story is interesting, but it's quite linear and simple compared to future installments. Halo CEA's gameplay is good, but not entirely great. It does feel quite dated now and does feel and play different to the other Halo games. However, it is not bad though. It may be old, but that will not stop you yourself from having a great time. At any point in the game, you can switch back to the original 2001 graphics to see what it looked like back then. It lets you really appreciate the new graphics layer for the game. The 10 missions in Halo CEA are all excellent, even the notorious library. You go from onboard your spacecraft, to the green plains and rivers of Halo, to the snow cliffs and an underground containment facility beneath a jungle. The weapons and vehicles are great fun to use. A complete arsenal of human and Covenant weapons and transport are available to the player. Assault rifles, shotguns, plasma pistols, tanks, ghosts and warthogs. It spices up the missions and makes them even better than just running and gunning. A shooter wouldn't be complete without its enemies. You'll be fighting multiple races of the Covenant and a nightmarish Flood. All come in different shapes and sizes and you'll find yourself creating certain methods to take out certain enemies.
Size. Not on your own.
Sir, permission to leave the station.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Permission granted.
Halo 2 Anniversary is the king of the collection. A lot of people say this is bad, but the reason Halo 2 gets so much spotlight is because it's 10 years old now. Unlike Halo CA, which was remastered for the 360, Halo 2 has been completely remade for the Xbox One in mind. To Halo fans, this is a God's gift from heaven. Incredible visuals and a 60 FPS make for a perfect Halo experience. However, it's not just the visuals that have changed. A completely new audio and soundtrack have been redone for the game, and yes, Steve Vai is back to perform the Halo theme as the Gun Gear mix, and this will have you singing and humming along as you play, but that's not all. All the cutscenes have been done from scratch in high quality CG animation done by Blur Studios. These cutscenes are incredible. Every time you get into one, it's almost like you're being rewarded for playing the game. To newcomers, this is even better. You will find new game mechanics such as dual wielding, better vehicle control, new weapons. There's also a whole new cast of characters to the series. Fel Verdami, also known as the Arbiter, is the secondary character you will be playing as when not being as the Master Chief. Brilliant performances for Sergeant Johnson, Frugality Spark, and the recognisable voice of Ron Perlman as Lord Hood make the story for Halo 2 every little bit better. The story is better in every way for Halo 2, seeing both sides of the war, from the Master Chief's perspective and the Arbiters, let you see the final struggles of humanity and the civil war amongst the Covenant all unfold into one awesome adventure. Great level design also returns, locations ranging from a mega city in Africa to a Covenant planetoid. Halo 2 Anniversary is the one which most players will gravitate to first. Halo 3 is possible the low point in the collection. Not old enough for a remaster, but not as new to look as good as the more recent Halo games. A 1080p upgrade does help it to look better than it did in 2007. You'll sometimes see details you did not see before, like engravings on the pistol, but some textures look stretched and blurry, such as parts on the battle rifle and plasma rifles. Characters' faces look ugly due to the old visuals, and it takes away from the experience you were just having in Halo 2 Anniversary. I found myself not wanting to look around at everything because it looked mostly the same and unchanged, bland. This has often caused me to get through the levels more quicker than previous games, which made for a less fun experience. Still, Halo 3 is a crucial part in the Master Chief's story. Halo 3 is home to some of the most fun battles you will ever have in a first-person shooter. A UNSC army of Scorpions or Hornets versus 2 giant Scarab tanks, and of course the final Warthog run in Halo is Halo's most proud moment, and with a friend it makes it even more special. These moments will stay in your gaming memories forever. Before the Halo 3 story would have not made sense if you just played it on its own, but now if you jump in right after Halo 2 Anniversary, it is a solid conclusion to the War of the Covenant and the horrors of the Flood. You can really feel the desperation amongst the UNSC and the Covenant as their numbers dwindle, but the outcome is a satisfying one, and by the last few minutes you'll be gripping to your seats for the next game.
Did you, as ever? The librarian left little to chance, didn't she? Turning my own guardians, my own world, against me. But what hubris to believe she could protect her pets from me forever. If you haven't mastered even these primitives, then man has not attained the mantle. Their ascendance may yet be prevented. Time was your ally, human. But now it has abandoned you. The Foreigners have returned.
Halo 4 is a nice surprise in the collection. Most people agree the game looks like it was never made for the 360, and its home is the Xbox One. 1080p makes Halo 4 look gorgeous. Weapons, terrains, characters and enemies all look better and more detailed. 60 frames per second also feels the best here, but there's also the most frame rate dips in Halo 4. It never goes below around 40, but you will notice slight bumps here and there. It shouldn't take away from your experience, but it is noticeable. Even though it only released in 2012, it is a joy to play through again. By this point, you really feel connected to the Master Chief and Cortana, and Halo 4 is also the beginning of a more emotional story to come. Chief now talks to Cortana as a mission, where before he would only speak in cutscenes. This way you get to know him a bit more. 3 for 3 are definitely the way forward for Halo's story. Second to Halo 2, Halo 4 has the best story, emotional and intense. Cortana is sick and damaged, an ancient threat has returned at the same time, and no, not the Flood, the Foreigners. You will be fighting armies of enemies known as Prometheans. They are aggressive and hard to take down. They also come with a set of interesting weaponry that will disintegrate its targets upon death. By the time you come across other humans in the game, so much has already happened, it just increases to the amount of chaos already happening. Like always, Halo 4's missions are top notch. For me, my most memorable mission is Infinity. In this mission, you will find yourself gunning through thick jungle, driving a tank with other Spartans and controlling a powerful mech known as the Mantis to defend the Infinity spaceship. More new features make their debut in Halo 4. Sprinting feels like a natural evolution for Halo, but armor abilities I feel could be done without. My only real problem with Halo 4 is its music. In the previous games, there were recognisable tunes and the famous Halo theme which appeared in Halo 1 to 3. In Halo 4 the music has changed. By the end, there was only a small number of tunes I could remember. Most were uncreative and really quite boring. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, is more than any Halo fan could have asked for, and an amazing new experience for like no other for newcomers. The story is quite possibly gaming's most finest, and the gameplay stays mostly the same with minor but good changes. Every mission is great, even the notorious library and Cortana levels. Games are full of rememberable characters from start to finish. All the games look beautiful, although Halo 3 does have some lame textures here and there. The collection is definitely worth your time and attention. A small note on multiplayer, this review only counts for campaign currently. This is due to the unacceptable state of multiplayer currently. You feel like you're not fighting other players but fighting the Xbox Live servers for 5 minutes or more minutes to get into a game, only for it to be 5 vs 3 or worse. This often results in frustrating losses or cheap wins due to the lack of players. Although I have played enough custom games to report multiplayer is fun, I am waiting for a patch to experience multiplayer online.